Hello, Full Force. Once again, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty for another episode of Road Rage. Once again, I'm not actually driving on this one. I'm walking. Yeah, I'm just taking a nice little walking stroll here, and just got out of the office. And today I want to talk about getting into gaming. Before I do that, though, if you enjoy these videos, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell. And double check to make sure you're still notified. And if you want to help us out, for as little as $1 a month, you can contribute to our Patreon, where you'll get additional benefits like patron-only videos, as well as monthly giveaways. And I haven't selected the monthly giveaway yet, so hey, you still have time. Now, with that said, before I get there too, the question is, what got you into gaming? How did you start getting into playing games, video games and such? I'd love to hear your story. For me, it started many years ago. If you don't know my channel very well or know me very well, I grew up quite poor. We did not have much. And to give you an idea of what that was, I lived in a one-bedroom apartment with 2 beds in that bedroom with 5 people. I had my mother, my grandparents, myself, and one of my brothers. So that's us 5. And at one point, 6. So, but the 6th one didn't last too long. It was another brother. So we had 6 of us in a one-bedroom apartment with 2 beds. Yeah, that's really good for your your friend life, right? So anyway, we didn't have a lot. And what happened was, and by the way, if anybody ever thinks I'm anti-woman or anything, they need to be smacked, because I hold my mother in the highest regard. I miss her. She passed away years ago. But I look at her, and I always looked at her for somebody of strength, somebody of good character. I always, she was a great role model. So anyway, what happened is, bad situations in family changes things. And what happened is, she was babysitting for money. And so while babysitting, when this happened, she paid and put herself through school while we're all in this situation, while babysitting, putting herself to school to get a new education, to be able to get a more desirable job. Nothing but ultimate respect for somebody in that tough of a position. There was a lot of easy ways out she could have taken, and she never did. So anyway, this is how you're going, how does that have anything to do with gaming? Well, one of the things is, my mother couldn't afford babysitting, right? And didn't want to always leave us with the grandparents, as it's a burden on her parents to have kids. So she would take us babysitting with her, because she was allowed to, and we would go in and she'd do the babysitting jobs. And this was during the day, so usually it'd be during the summer months, and then sometimes some evenings at night. And one of the kids there had Atari 2600, because I could have never afforded that. Our family could. No way. We did eventually get one later on, years later. And I remember having that hooked up to my nice black and white TV. It was, I think, a 13-inch. I felt so special to have that. Well, anyway, we would play games on the Atari 2600, like Pac-Man, and eventually things like River Raid. Indiana Jones, he had that on there. So we got to play those, and that's how I got into it and enjoying playing video games. As I said, still, it was a long time before I was ever able to afford more. Matter of fact, I was still pretty darn poor when the Nintendo Entertainment System came out. So while everyone had Nintendo Entertainment System, I was lucky to have the Atari. But I loved it anyway. I loved those games. One of my favorite games was Popeye. What I did is, I'd always get games cheap. I couldn't afford any of that stuff new, so I got a used Atari 2600, because people were selling them because they were getting the Nintendo Entertainment System. And I'd get games really cheap, and I loved Popeye. I did a video on Popeye, by the way, in which I also have Popeye now on the Nintendo Entertainment System. But, I'd have that. And so that's how I really got into gaming. So then, I progressed I've never bought, with the exception of one video game system, I don't think I've ever bought any systems new. So then, let's see, I had the 2600 for many years. I then got a 7800. Yeah, that was probably not the best choice for longevity of a video game system. Actually, the 7800 was a lot better system than people gave it credit for. It would play the 2600 games as well, and that's one of my mistakes there, by the way. It also played the 7800 games. So I sold my 2600 to help get me money to buy the 7800, and I had the classic Woody. I wish I never got rid of that. So anyway, I got the 7800. Now, graphically it was a lot better, but the sound chip was the same, so it wasn't anything fantastic there because I still couldn't afford a Nintendo at that time. So I did end up eventually getting a Nintendo. I think I bought one for $20 or something like that. So that's one way I got into games. So years later, I have a cousin, and he's a video game enthusiast. And this happened for years and years. He would, whenever the new system's out, he would give us the old one. Because, I'm not, even then I played those games. I'm not wanting to spend whatever it is for a new game. A lot of people don't realize the games, the Atari days and things like that, still were not cheap. Those are like $60 games and things back then. So that's even more expensive than they are today. And I don't even like today's game prices. I don't buy games new, these $50, $60, $70 games. No way. I wait and I get them when they're, a generation old or a few years older, when I can get them for like $3 a piece in most cases, or I get some kind of lucky deal. I played some Call of Duties. I got those early, right away on release, but that's because I was doing work and statistical analysis for a particular piece of hardware for a company for those. But otherwise, I always, cheap on those. I don't have any of the current gen systems still, but my kids and I, my family, we have a large amount of games. So anyway, I was getting to my cousin. Sorry, I digress there. And my cousin would buy the newest system, and he'd give us the old. So I got a plethora of game systems. I mean, I've got the Nintendo Entertainment System, which I bought, as I said, cheaper. Super Nintendo. We also have Nintendo 64. We have GameCube. We have the Nintendo Wii. We have the Xbox 360, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. My wife had a Commodore 64, so we had the Commodore 64. I used to have another Atari computer, but I got rid of that. I wish I kept that. We have the Sega Genesis. I used to have the Sega Master System, but I got rid of that too. That's another one I go, why did I get rid of that? Let's see, a Dreamcast. I never got the Saturn, so I still probably should get that sometime. So we have a lot of the portables too as well, but a lot of those we'd get free. So that's how we managed to get all those, and we get a plethora of games for them. So that's how I got into it. And so when I play a game, sometimes it's an older game, it's still new to me. I have just as much fun out of it. That's why I don't understand. Some people, why don't you get the new system? And I understand there's a lot of cool stuff, and I'd like to be able to play with some of those people and do that. I get that. But, it's like I still have a backlog of so many games I haven't played, that I can enjoy. And I don't care necessarily about the graphics. Yes, great graphics are a cool thing. But what I care about is the game fun. That's what I look for. So just for example, yesterday, Little Frugal and I were playing the Dreamcast Virtual Cop 2 because they had a Sega Jam Pack that I have. And it has that on there with the light guns, the shooting guns. And we had an absolute blast playing together. Yes, it's not the highest end new technical thing, but that's the point. Is it fun? So I ask you, what got you into gaming? What matters to you? Is it the graphics that matter to you? Is it the fun? Does it have to have both? What is it that you really like out of that? And maybe even give me a suggestion. What am I missing? Do I need to get a new console yet? Is there something I just have to have on that? I see games now, though, on there. I do see that. I go, I like that game. I'd like it. Some of you are going to probably tell me just get them on computer. Our computer isn't high end enough to do that. The gaming computer we have, I built my kid a retro game computer, the kids, so that we don't have to always get all the cartridges out, put them in. So I built an emulator computer for that, so for that functionality. But I also got Steam on there. But once again, the computer can't do the highest end stuff. So for example, Little Frugal plays Bendy and the Ink Machine. It's tapping it out at its full potential, and we have it on the low settings. So, it's not high end. So I know I'm going to get barked at. People are like, get up that. But it costs a lot of money to do that. So, we don't have a gaming machine yet. We'll see about that maybe later. All right. So I just wanted to share that. I like these conversational type of discussion videos. I want to hear back from you guys. I love it when you get involved and tell me what you got into. And you could even do it as a video response. I love that too. Or right there in the comments. Tell me, how did you get involved in gaming? What do you like about gaming? What's your favorite game? Things like that. Let me know. I'll be looking forward to hearing it. And until next time, keep it frugal.